The thing you've spent years apologizing for might be the exact reason people trust you. You call it too sensitive, too slow, too much. You've rehearsed the apology so many times it sounds like your name. You have gotten so good at shrinking that no one notices how much room you actually take up. Somewhere along the way, you decided the parts of you that didn't perform well in a meeting needed to disappear. By the end of this, something might stop apologizing. What if it was never a flaw, and no one ever told you what it actually was? You notice it before you even open your mouth in the meeting. The tightening low in your chest, right when someone says, "Give me the short version," because you were about to say the thing that needed the long one. You swallow it instead. Your jaw tightens, and you feel it there for the rest of the meeting. An ache that has nothing to do with your teeth. Someone calls you a lot in a tone that is almost a compliment and definitely is not, and you laugh along with it while something in your stomach folds a little smaller. You have learned to answer, "Tell me about yourself," with the version that fits on a slide. Confident, clean. No cracks anywhere in it. The real answer stays behind your teeth, where it has lived for years. Rehearsed so many times it barely feels like lying anymore. You watch someone else move through a room the way you never could. Quick, certain, untroubled by the things that stop you cold. You call what you have a weakness. You call what they have talent, without ever asking if that trade was fair. You have practiced the sentence, "I know this is a lot more than you have practiced almost anything else you have ever wanted to say." Somewhere it became easier to apologize for taking up space than to simply take it. You are so tired of managing yourself, editing before you speak, softening before you feel, rehearsing the version of the story that will not make anyone uncomfortable before you have even decided what actually happened. Translating the true, complicated shape of you into something small enough that no one else has to deal with the rest of it. This is not vanity, and it was never overthinking. It was survival. Learn it early, in rooms that rewarded speed over depth and certainty over feeling. You are not the only one still translating themselves into something smaller. So you did what anyone would do. You tried to fix it. That is where this gets complicated. Here is the part almost no one tells you. Fixing it does not work. Not because you have not tried hard enough. You have tried plenty hard. It does not work because you are not fixing a flaw. You are fighting the shape of your own attention, the exact wiring that makes you notice what others miss and feel what others move past too quickly to feel it all. Think of a radio producer who spent 4 years training herself out of the thing that made her good. She used to catch the tremor in a guest's voice right before the sentence that actually mattered. The 2 seconds of silence just before someone told the truth instead of the talking point. Her first boss called that dead air. So she solved it. She learned to cut to the clock. She learned to file the tremor and the silence into a drawer marked not useful and hand over the schedule instead. For 3 years, it looked like it was working. Her segments ran on time. Her name moved up the call sheet. People called her efficient, and she told herself efficient was close enough to good. Then, quietly, something in her stopped. Not dramatically. She simply noticed she had nothing left to say in the pitch meetings that used to be the reason she loved the job. The silence she used to catch had nowhere left to go. It had been the exact thing she was hired to cut, and she had cut it week by week without deciding to. It took an executive producer months later, telling her the one segment people still talked about was not the one that ran on time. It was the 4 extra minutes she fought to keep, letting a guest's silence sit on air instead of cutting away, because something in her recognized what was underneath it. Management had told her to trim it. She kept it anyway. It was the only clip from that whole year anyone still sent around. This is not a story about one lucky clip. It is what happens almost every time. The trait gets suppressed, and eventually someone notices the missing thing is what made the work worth doing. You were never meant to run on someone else's operating system. This was never a personal failing. It was a mismatch between what you carry and what you were told carrying it meant, made worse by every room that only had time to reward the fast answer. Let that sit for a second. Just that. There was a man who ruled an empire and still wrote to himself at night like this, uncertain and tired, working through the same doubts you are having right now. Marcus Aurelius wrote these private notes inside a military tent on the Danube frontier, in Greek, the language he thought in, not the Latin he governed in. By day, he negotiated a war he never wanted and would not live to see end. By that candlelight, he wrote himself the same reminder, again and again, to stop resenting the parts of the world and the parts of himself that would not bend to what he wanted. He was not writing a philosophy book for the ages. Nobody was meant to read those pages but him. He ruled through a plague that emptied whole cities. And still, most nights his private complaint was not the plague. It was himself, and the energy he kept wasting fighting who he already was. He never once wrote that the goal was to become a different kind of man. He wrote instead about working with the material he actually had. That is the part that changes everything. And we are almost there. Here is the shift. The one thing that changes how all of this sits in your body. The Stoics had a phrase for it, worn smooth by centuries of people needing it exactly the way you need it now. What stands in the way becomes the way, not despite the obstacle, through it. Marcus Aurelius did not mean this as a slogan for people who already had it easy. He meant it as a technique for a man managing plagues, wars, and a body that kept failing him, who had discovered that resisting what was actually in front of him cost more than working with it ever would. You have spent years treating the trait as the obstacle. What if the trait was never the obstacle? What if the obstacle was only ever the belief that it needed to disappear before you could be useful, before you could be loved, before you could finally stop apologizing? The line Marcus Aurelius kept closest was not even his own. He had copied it years earlier from a teacher named Epictetus, a man who had spent part of his life enslaved and walked with a permanently broken leg, and who taught that almost nothing outside us is ours to control, only what we do with what happens to us. An emperor and a man who had once been owned by another person needed the exact same sentence to get through the night. That should tell you something about how little rank has to do with any of this. Some things were never yours to control. Whether people call your depth sensitivity or call it a gift depends entirely on the room you are standing in, and you cannot control the room. Whether the world moves at the pace you move at is not yours to decide either. And neither is what other people had to trade away to move as fast as they do. Comparing your unedited insides to someone else's edited outside was never a fair fight, and it was never yours to win. No matter how many times you replayed it in your head at midnight, building a stronger case for the prosecution. But this part is yours completely. What you build with the noticing, where you choose to point the depth once you stop spending all of it on apology. Whether the next time something in you rises, slow and complicated and inconvenient, you follow it instead of filing it away where no one has to see it. Whether you keep treating your own attention like a liability, or start treating it like the one tool nobody else in the room happens to be carrying. This is the permission you have been waiting for. So hear it plainly. You do not have to become faster. You do not have to become thicker-skinned or louder or easier to sell in a 30-second pitch. You were never behind. You were building something the whole time that does not photograph well in a meeting and changes everything once someone finally sees it. The way 4 minutes of kept silence changed a segment no one else believed in. Remember the question this opened with. What if it was never a flaw and no one ever told you what it actually was? Here is what it actually was. It was the raw material. Untranslated, unfinished, waiting for you to stop apologizing long enough to actually use it. Let that land for a moment. Just the weight of it, settling. Nothing new needs saying right now. Notice your shoulders. Notice whether they have dropped, even slightly, from where they were when this started. Notice your jaw, the one that has been tight since the beginning of this. See if it can unclench just for these next few seconds with nothing being asked of it. Somewhere tonight you will feel the old instinct again. The reflex to shrink before you speak. To trim the true answer down to the version that fits on a slide. And maybe, just this once, you will let the whole sentence out instead. Not because you fixed anything, because there was never anything broken to fix. You do not need a plan for tomorrow. You do not need to prove this to anyone by morning. You only need to notice, quietly in this room, right now, that the thing you have been carrying was never the weight. It was the compass. It was pointing somewhere the whole time, patiently, long before you were ready to look, and it will still be pointing there tomorrow, whether you use it or not. You can put the apology down now. You were never too much. You were simply early, carrying something the room was not ready for yet. It is ready now. You do not have to earn the right to stop shrinking. You only have to stop. Somewhere, someone is about to meet the version of you that stopped apologizing. They will never know what it cost you to get here. It will not matter. You will finally be the one who knows. Let it be enough. Let you be enough, exactly the shape you already are.